work. Okay, so before we do pitches, we do have one speaker tonight. Koester is here to speak to you guys. He's done a lot of startup weekends. He used to be on our board of advisors. You may have heard of his company, Zaarly. He's one of the co-founders, started at a startup week in LA. So we're really excited to have him here. I think he's going to say some really cool, exciting, energizing things to get you ready for pitches. So no pressure, Eric, but I hope this is the best speech ever. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So it's pretty awesome to see how many people have been to startup weekends before. So I've actually participated in like double digits now. So I'm like literally like addicted. It's like startup weekend is like a little bit like crack to me, unfortunately. I think my co-founders of my current company put like a restriction on me participating because the last time I participated fully, I wound up quitting my job on Monday and jumping into my startup. So anyway, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of a quick story about kind of how I got here, a little bit about my company that came out of Startup Weekend, and but I think more importantly, like how to maximize the experience for yourself. Because the truth is like I would love it if there are dozens and dozens of great, companies that come out, but more importantly, like great entrepreneurs. Like the truth is this is called Startup Weekend, but I actually think that's kind of patently false about what this weekend is about. Really, it's about you as an entrepreneur or potential entrepreneur to harness that inner entrepreneur in you and learn what it's like. The truth is like starting a company it's fucking hard. I mean, it is really hard to do a company, and this gives you like a small taste of it in a weekend. You'll see kind of the ups and the downs of it, and I think that's great. So let me start. How many of you have heard of Zaarly? Have you heard of the company? That's good. All right, cool. So let me quickly, for those of you who haven't, give you like the very quick pitch of what it is. So Zaarly is a real-time marketplace based around mobile. So you say what you want, people around you can do it. So I'd pay $100 for a graphic designer. I'd pay $50 for someone to bring me coffee, whatever the heck it is. Like this weekend, try it out, check it out, let me know what you think of it. We are 6 months old. We actually launched the product 6 months ago today, so that's pretty awesome. And in those 6 months, we've had nearly 200,000 users sign up. We've raised $14 million, and I met this guy named Coucher who funded our company, and this person named Meg Whitman. So let me tell you the story about how Zaarly happened, and kind of in it, I'll weave some of my tips to make this experience awesome. So basically, it was my birthday back in February, and my wife was out of town, so I was like, well, what do you do for your birthday? And I thought, God, what better to do than go to a startup weekend, of course. So I actually kind of recruited one of my good friends named Bo Fishback and asked him to come down to startup weekend with me. And he said, yeah, sounds like fun. And then he kind of decided to bail on me, like he wasn't going to come. And I kind of called him up, and I was like, dude, like, I'm going to be a big loser. I'm going to be like the only guy at Startup Weekend there. And he said, well, all right, fine. So the day before Startup Weekend, Bo decided to buy his ticket. So Bo and I went down to LA. Didn't really know many of the people there, but we were just going to kind of coach the teams and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a moth to a flame, like a entrepreneur to Startup Weekend. You like have to pitch something. So if who's here wants to pitch something or is thinking about pitching something? Good. If you're thinking about it, just get up here and pitch something. The truth is like some of the best lessons. This is my first lesson here. If you're thinking about pitching, do it. And the reason is like it doesn't really matter if your idea gets accepted right there or not. The truth is you're going to learn a little bit about that idea. If people flock to it right away, it's probably a good idea. If people don't really resonate with it, it still might be a good idea, or it could suck. But at least you'll know a little bit more about that before doing that. So we went down to Startup Weekend LA. We're just going to hang out, and Bo decided to pitch an idea that we've been throwing around, and he first called it GeoBay, kind of like a eBay with location based around your phone. Pretty stupid, but like people liked it a little bit. So we pitched it, and we made it into like the Sweet 16 group or whatever it was, or the final group. So we decided we were going to take this forward. So Bo and I were going to work on this, and this is my second tip of the weekend. After the first one is pitch an idea just to learn a little bit about yourself and the idea. The second tip is this is the most important time in the weekend if you actually want to win or you just want to really launch a startup. Is the next phase is all about recruitment. I mean, it is entirely about recruiting the best talent in the room. And I'll say the first and the smartest thing that we did at that startup weekend is I went up to the organizers, because I didn't know anyone in the room other than Bo, and I said, tell me who is the best developer and the best designer in the room. And they said a guy named Ian Hunter was the best developer, and a guy named Vasily was the best designer. And I worked my ass off to recruit those guys to join our team. And it turned out that Ian Hunter, who was one of the, he's a longtime developer, he wound up becoming one of my co-founders of Zaarly. So a guy who I'd never met before, I quit my job on Monday to go start a business with. My wife thought that was stupid. Nevertheless, I think what it tells you is that the important thing here is like, if you have an idea and you advance it on, the most important thing is to think about what do you need to do? What do you need? Do you need a designer? Do you need a developer? Do you need a business person? Do you need someone who can do Ruby, front end, back end, whatever the heck it is, mobile? You think about those kind of things and already start talking to people around you and say like, hey, I've got this idea and I'm a fun person, so why don't you come work with me in that team right there? So the next day after recruiting this team together, I will give you the third kind of tip of the weekend. And this is something that after doing multiple startup weekends, I've actually won 4 times from startup weekend. So there's kind of like a little bit of a trick to this thing, to be honest. And kind of that trick is, that I found, is that time kind of is going away fast. So my advice to you is figure out what you're going to build, get in here at 9 a.m. tomorrow, or before 9 a.m., and put pencils down on changing your idea at 10 a.m. No more talking about what you might do, what you might think about. 10 a.m., done. Build something. That's what this weekend is about. It's about producing something, and you can spend lots and lots of time thinking about how big the market is, and like if people are going to use it and love it. It doesn't fucking matter. It just doesn't. Just build something. So we literally got in on Saturday morning, and thought, this idea is all right. I'm not really sure if it's great, but we built something. And we kept building and kept iterating over the weekend, but we knew by the time we were done, the features we were going to build is something on mobile and something on the tablet. And we were going to build that. We went through the weekend to do it. And so I would say, like, then the fourth tip for you kind of to think about during this weekend, what's important to think about is, once you start building this a little bit, don't become so myopic that you don't realize that there are literally 100 other people around you who are not on your team who are awesome teammates. You know, the number of companies that come out of this that turn into Zaarly's are pretty small. And that's okay, right? Like I said, it's about creating entrepreneurs. So I think the most important thing when you're doing this weekend is to really produce a product that you like, work with the team, but also understand there are so many people in this room who are not going to be on your team with you, who might be your next real co-founder, who might be a great designer for your company, or who might be a business person, whatever it is. So I think it's important to think about your team when you recruit on Friday night. It's important to start building on Saturday morning, but then it's also important to like spend time talking to the other teams. Take a few minutes, go grab coffee, go do something with other people, because those are going to be the most important people that you'll meet out of this. And I think that networking is the key thing. So I'll tell like kind of the conclusion of the story and a little bit about what why I think we wound up winning and why we took this forward. So one of my co-founders, Bo, is actually he was at the Kaufman Foundation and he's one of the sponsors there, and he actually knew Ashton casually through a few things, and so he said. He's like, hey, you should probably check out this thing called Startup Weekend. And this is a quote that I'll never forget. It's going to blow your mind. It's what he told Ashton. And so Ashton decided on Sunday it'd be a great idea to like swing by for a few minutes. It's pretty weird seeing Ashton Kutcher walk in. And pretty weird too, his wife came along. Or his ex-wife? No, that's real? It's really, so it's a side note, it's really weird. Like, I'm calling my co-founders, we get on the call last night, and one of them goes, dude, what do we do? Ashton and me are getting divorced. Like, why do I care about that in a startup company? But that's pretty much my life now. So Sunday night, Sunday we prepared our presentation, and the truth is like we kind of didn't. We really thought about this as like, what would we want to show that was sexy to show off? You know, the truth is what you're showing on Sunday isn't about projections and market size and business model. You want to show something that's cool. Like, everyone in here is excited about technology, and so we built something that actually worked. We built something where we were able to do a transaction soup to nuts across from a web to an iPhone to an iPad, across soup to nuts. That was awesome, and I think that's one of the reasons why we won. That night after our presentation, Ashton sent us a text message and said, hey guys, I like what you're doing. I'd love to give you guys some money. We're like, wait a second, we all have like these job things. This is like kind of like a fun little project, weekend stuff right there. And he's like, how would I give you more money then? Well, that worked. So 3 days after startup weekend, we raised $1 million from Appature Inc. We actually, yeah, I know, I thought the same thing. What is this guy thinking? 2 weeks later after that, we launched our first kind of beta project, a beta product at South by Southwest. which seemed like a great idea. We were all excited after Sunday night after startup weekend. That was stupid, but we did it, and it worked. It actually worked surprisingly well. In Austin, we had $10,000 of transactions go through the system in under 24 hours, and we looked at each other and we were like, whoa, this thing works. And I think the only reason we did it is because of Startup Weekend. I mean, Startup Weekend teaches you is you've got deadlines. You've got 54 hours to build something. And so we built our first MVP that kind of worked. And then we built our second MVP 2 weeks later and launched at the biggest tech conference in the world, and it kind of worked. And then we spent another month and a half after that, and we built a version that was more robust on the iPhone, and it kind of worked. And we've continued to launch things that kind of work. And we're 6 months old now. We've had almost $10 million posted on our system. We're across the country. We're live everywhere, and it still kind of works, which I think is really what Startup Weekend's about. So I think kind of my lessons again are to think about tonight. If you have an idea that you're thinking about, you're not sure about, pitch it. Get people's feedback and learn a little bit about yourself in the process. The ideas that you may pitch may not be something that you want to start a company on, or it may, but pitch an idea if you're thinking about it. The second one is don't get wrapped around the axle. By 10 a.m. tomorrow, you should be building something. Stop talking about what this could be or who might do what, and just build. Because that's what the most important thing is. Oh, maybe my second tip actually was recruit. Recruit the best people in the room. And I think that's what determines the winners and the losers, frankly, is who wind up picking a good team. But not only who picks a good team, but who picks a team that they're going to have a lot of fun together. So if someone's a jerk when you're talking to them, there's no reason to spend your weekend with them. I mean, you've got plenty of time during the week to work with a bunch of jerks. So work with people you want to work with. Start building by 10 a.m. tomorrow. And this weekend, spend time meeting all of these people. I mean, I think the truth is you are getting the best networking event in the entire country. I met three of my three co-founders who become my three best friends. We've taken a company from an idea at a startup weekend, raised over $15 million, got this in the hands of hundreds of thousands of people, all because of Startup Weekend. And I think it started, I'm the most fortunate person in the world. I do think that this started because of Startup Weekend, and I think that we continue to get embraced by the Startup Weekend community. We actually, as a company, made a decision to donate a portion of our stock to Startup Weekend because we want to give back, and we hope that we become a huge success for ourselves, but also to give back to this community. And if your company does become successful, I strongly urge you to do the same thing because this, honestly, I think is the most important organization for spurring job growth in the country. It is the one thing we can actually, we've hired over 35 people in just 6 months since we launched. So this shit works. So tonight, pitch something amazing, pitch something you've dreamed about, and don't be afraid if someone says it's dumb because you can build it. And if it's something you firmly believe in, take the people you meet here after this weekend and build it. There's a lot more companies that have come out of the successful entrepreneurs who were trained at Startup Weekend but didn't pitch that idea there. So don't be disheartened if your idea tonight doesn't get it. But meet other people, recruit people you want to work with, and build something awesome. Because Startup Weekend gives you the perfect laboratory to build something. And I hope we see the next Zaarly out of here. So thank you guys very much.